Before he had a chance to do anything else, Amelia's voice boomed out from down the hotel hallway.
Nathan, are you okay? What's going on in there? It smells terrible.
Before Nathan could answer, Ulrich's voice from further down the hall boomed out.
Ugh! Heaven help us! What smells like a rat's diarrhea?
Hundreds of miles away, on a dirt road near the base of a gigantic mountain, Deputy Officer Kane galloped on his horse toward the great mountain peak. He couldn't get there fast enough. Mount Cal was easily 4 times the size of Mount Dunn and was known to be the largest mountain in all of the kingdom of Calandria. Calandria City, the kingdom's capital, sprawled out just a few miles away near a raging river. Deputy Officer Kane rode as fast as he could, with one hand on the reins and one clutching a scarlet letter in a pocket of his simple gray riding hood. He had no wish to wear his Doom faction uniform while on the road, as it only attracted flatterers and enemies. Today, Officer Kane had no time for either. As the dirt road led up into a stand of trees, Officer Kane's horse suddenly stopped. Tree falling. Tree crash. A massive oak tree fell across the road and scared Officer Kane's horse so badly it threw him off. Rather than fall into the muddy ground, Kane merely leaped up into the air and landed safely to the ground, one hand on the letter and the other hand on the hilt of his sword. Suddenly, a dirty fellow dressed in rags stood up atop the fallen tree, a bow in his hands, with an arrow loosely at the ready.
"Whoa there, stranger. You better watch out. Looks like you were almost crushed by that fallen tree there. My kinsman and I could help you clear it off the road, of course. That is, if you're willing to hand over your coin purse."
Officer Kane merely waited as 3 other highwaymen appeared out of the woods around him. 2 sported woodsman axes, and the last had another bow. Officer Kane sighed.
Nothing was ever as easy as it ought to be. "Well, traveler, what say you? Your money or your life? You have none, then I'll gladly be taking that horse of yours, and whatever's in that pocket you're clutching, of course."
Officer Kane sighed and relaxed his shoulders as he took a defensive stance.
"I'm in a real rush today, lads, so I'll be generous with you. Clear out of my way, and I'll leave you be, but bother me for a moment longer, and I swear that you'll regret it."
The lead bandit cackled, but before he could respond, Officer Kane went on.
"I mean, really, who do you think I could possibly be? A horse like that is not easy to come by, so I'm either some noble with years of spiritual fighting training and a personal army at my beck and call, or I'm something far more dangerous. How do either of those possibilities entice you into robbing me?"
The lead bandit merely scratched his head.
"The harvests have been tough, and the taxes have been high. With all this inflation, it's not like we've got much of a choice now, do we?"
Officer Kane smiled.
Well, I'll give you that. But unfortunately, you have in fact bothered me for a moment too long."
Thwack! The lead bandit drew back his bow, but before he could lose an arrow, Kane's blade had cleanly struck through his skull and the skulls of his comrades. Kane flicked the blood of the highwayman off of his blade and sheathed it quickly. He whistled to his horse and led it around the fallen log. Glancing back once, Kane gazed up at the sky and prayed.
"Apologies. I would like to bury them, but I don't have much time. May the heavens watch over these poor souls, and may none of them be fathers."
With that, Kane remounted his horse and rode on toward the outline of a massive black tower hanging up on the side of the giant mountain. His destination was none other than the Doom faction headquarters for the kingdom of Calandria. A few hours later, Kane stood in the massive black tower at the peak of Mount Cal. Before him, a middle-aged man sat by a window overlooking the distant capital city of Calandria and opened Kane's letter. Not only was the letter sealed with a stamped imprint of the Doom faction's insignia, but it was also scarlet-colored, meaning that this letter had to be opened immediately, as it was of great importance. Beside Deputy Officer Kane stood 3 other deputy officers of the Doom faction for Calandria. Each one is assigned to a different fiefdom, for the matter at hand was so important that all of them had been summoned at once. The middle-aged man calmly hummed as he read through the letter quickly. Head Officer Wilhelm was the most powerful man in the entire kingdom of Calandria, with even more influence than the nation's king. Yet, despite this fact, Wilhelm wore a simple black cloak and sandals, and unlike his deputies, he wore no sword upon his belt. Finally, Wilhelm finished humming and smiled up at Kane with curious eyes.
Deputy Officer Kane, you swear you did not open this on your journey?
Kane nodded solemnly.
I swear it, sir. I would never be so brash as to examine a letter of such importance. I was already planning to visit you when it arrived at my tower, and so I left immediately, never stopping to open it until this very moment, sir.
Wilhelm chuckled and hummed once more, as if Kane had revealed a pivotal piece of information.
Go ahead and take it back from me. It came to your tower, after all. Read it and see what it says.
Wilhelm offered Kane the letter, but Kane merely took a step back and bowed.
Apologies, sir. I cannot take it. You know scarlet letters are beyond what my eyes may witness. You're going to be a stick in the mud about it. At least go on and guess its contents. I know you have your suspicions.
Deputy Kane thought for a moment, and then Nathan Hayfield's figure flashed before his mind. Kane shrugged.
Could it be regarding that child spiritual swordsman prodigy, the Hayfield boy in my fiefdom?
Kane knew that Wilhelm had taken a deep-rooted interest in the boy ever since Kane had first alerted him to his existence after the spiritual warrior examinations. He'd gotten a letter back from a carrier raven almost immediately, telling him to keep Wilhelm informed of all updates regarding Nathan's progress. Besides, nothing else in the kingdom of Calandria had changed much in the past few months. Everyone had been preparing for the aristocracy examinations, and the number of roadside bandit attacks had been on the rise. But those things had long been anticipated by Head Officer Wilhelm. Therefore, Kane knew that Nathan was the only topic that could possibly have surprised or startled Wilhelm. Wilhelm couldn't help but chuckle at Deputy Kane's canny guess.
Looks like you didn't need to read the letter after all. That's right. It's another letter regarding Nathan Hayfield. This time his performance is even more impressive and unexpected. Really? How? What would you wish to share with us, sir? My. Someone's already taken a liking to the boy, I see. As you know, I met his family. They're a fallen noble family, but honorable and good folk. You'll be interested to hear this, then. According to our Doom faction informants in the city of Godricshall, that just this morning young Nathan fought in a duel with at least one Herald's Land boy of apprentice level 4. Might you guess what the result was?
Deputy Officer Kane frowned as he leaned in close to his master. He was not surprised they had learned of this fight, although it was discreetly covered up by Sir Ian and Hagar Haraldson. No matter what the nobles of the land wished to hide, the eyes and ears of the Doom faction were always observing them.
According to my estimation, sir, with that boy's probable strength, I'd bet he eked out a victory over them, although it may have been a costly one. I'd like to hope he managed to win.
Although Deputy Kane did not know Nathan Hayfield's true strength, because he had yet to witness him in an actual fight, he could sense Nathan's spiritual energy whenever he interacted with him.
Is that your final answer? Yes, sir. I'd wager that his personal strength should be around the fourth or fifth level of the apprentice stage.
Despite Kane's own judgment that Nathan was a special fighter, he still saw Nathan as a child and could not have possibly imagined that he was already a master-level warrior.
Slam!
Officer Wilhelm slammed the arm of his chair as he burst into laughter. The man's eyes watered, and he shook his head as he tried to recompose himself in front of Kane and the other startled deputies who listened obediently.
Oh, that's funny. Let me tell you this, Kane. You better keep being a Doom faction member. Your career as a gambler's going nowhere.
Sir, what do you mean? What happened?
Your boy Nathan did much more than eke out a victory. He absolutely dominated them. Not only did he cripple the sword arm of his direct adversary, but when a duke's son got involved, he used a single cut to push the kid out of his way, severely wounding him as well in the process. My report says it was over in a matter of seconds, and Nathan didn't even have a scratch on him. Now tell me again how he's an apprentice level 5.
Ha!
Kane's eyes widened in amazement.
What? But how could this be?
Even the other deputy officers were shocked. They began to frown and whisper together excitedly.
And get this, the Duke's son was at least a level 6 or 7 apprentice and was sneak attacking him. Imagine that. This Hayfield boy has to be many times more powerful than that if he was to catch the boy sneaking behind him and deliver a single decisive blow like that.
Although everyone in that room within the tower could easily achieve the same feat, they were all adult Doom faction officers, not mere 14-year-old spiritual warrior students. All Kane could do was shake his head with amazement as he tried to wrap his head around what Wilhelm told him.
I just can't believe it, sir. I knew young Nathan was a prodigy, but not like this.
Wilhelm's face turned serious as he cracked his knuckles and stood up from his chair.
Looks like this little kingdom of Calandria is about to produce a spiritual champion, a true maverick, the likes of which we've rarely seen before. From Nathan Hayfield's performance, I'd say his strength must at least be an apprentice level 9. Not a bad future disciple of the Doom faction, wouldn't you say?
Kane grew serious as he slowly trailed Wilhelm over toward the largest window in the room, its 3-sided panels overlooking the mountain beneath them. Over here, the floor itself was made of glass, so one could see just how far above the ground they were suspended.
Yes, sir. I would say he'd make an excellent recruit in the future. Good. Now, I want to know everything I can about this boy. Have your informers look deeper into his background. What's the Hayfields' family story again? Yes, sir. The Hayfields are currently considered the weakest noble house in the fiefdom of Godric's Land, though given the circumstances that seems likely to change. The noble house itself is an old one, dating back nearly 1,000 years to when it was once full of legendary warriors that brought glory to the clan, along with wealth and fame. Quite impressive indeed. Go on. The house's founder, the creator of the Dunshire Medicine Garden, and the one who won a challenge during the aristocracy examination all those many years ago, did so with the same broadsword that Nathan wields now. All the different branches of that founder's family died off slowly over the centuries until all that remained was Ulrich and his 2 children. And what of young Nathan's life in particular? What do we know about this unusual young man? As for Nathan, little is known about his early years. At most, he had the makings of a mediocre swordsman, but he always was known for training incredibly hard. 3 years ago now, he nearly lost his life in a duel with another noble's son. After that, his progress has flourished and shown no sign of stopping. And what do you imagine sparked such a change? I'm not certain, sir. Curious indeed. But, sir, I do know what drives him now. And what is that, Deputy Kane? His mother, sir. She was murdered before Nathan could even talk. The whereabouts of the killer are still largely unknown. Ah, yes. I remember this from one of your letters. The strange boot symbol you showed me. Nathan's convinced that it holds the key to finding his mother's murderer. I mentioned our library to him in passing, as you suggested, and I believe that's our best bet of convincing him to join us. Perhaps our scholars will be able to recognize the markings. Perhaps. So revenge is what drives this strange boy's need for spiritual power. How interesting. Suddenly, a female deputy officer approached and cleared her throat. Either way, Head Officer Wilhelm, I suggest we look for ways to induct him into the faction as soon as possible. Talent such as his doesn't come around often, and we don't want to risk losing him to another faction. Our actions should be immediate if we want to secure his loyalty. A fascinating thought, Deputy Ragnar. What do you think, Deputy Kane? You know the boy better than any of us, after all. Personally, sir, I think it's best we avoid direct intervention for the time being. His family is embroiled in the political schemings of other lords at the moment. We should seek to remain impartial, as our sacred laws command us, unless, of course, the situation arises where we must step in. Oh, really now? I do love such trifling gossip. Tell me more of these political schemings. Deputy Officer Kane sighed. Well, sir, at the moment, House Hayfield is waiting to face the High House Raven in an aristocratic examination challenge. If we were to interfere now, we'd ruin House Hayfield's chances of winning the title and could be putting Nathan's family at risk. However, since this boy is of such high value to us, it would be wise to step in should the Duke's family or even the King's family get involved. Any master-level warrior sent to fight him should be intercepted. Clap! Distant avalanche. Officer Wilhelm clapped his hands together loudly with joy at the thought of Nathan's future. As he turned back from the windows to face his deputies, he failed to glimpse a massive avalanche he had inadvertently caused. Splendid plan. We shall do as you say, Deputy Kane. Force him to continue to prove himself, but step in when necessary. Can you make it back to Godricshall by the morning? Well, speak up, man. As Wilhelm spoke, Kane's eyes were on the avalanche, and they only came back up to his master once he was sure no lives were threatened by it. Yes, sorry, certainly, sir. I'll take my leave at once. With that, Kane saluted his master and his fellow deputies before exiting the room. Kane couldn't help but smile at the thought of Nathan joining them. A genius like this kid comes around once only 100 years. What luck I get to nurture him. As Kane readied his horse for the journey home, he shook his head at the path down the mountain. It would now take twice as long now that the road was buried in freshly fallen avalanche snow. As Deputy Officer Kane rode through the night on the long journey back to Godricshall, a different rider approached the outside gates of House Raven's compound. This rider was short, with light brown hair, and clad dark red silk with a velvet cape. Flanking each side of him was a tall, armored bodyguard, bearing the lion crest of the Duke's family, House Godrickson. A servant of House Raven approached and bowed as he opened the front gate immediately. "Roderick, sir, please come inside. The High Lord Raven has been expecting you." Without so much as looking at the servant, Roderick Godrickson, the Duke's teenage grandson, dismounted from his horse with the help of his bodyguards. Without any hesitation or acknowledgement of the servant, Roderick strode through the front gates and took the lead as he found his way deep into the compound. Finally, he arrived at Remus Raven's private quarters,
where the High Lord Raven had set out a private feast for the young noble. "Ah, young Roderick, so good of you to grace us with your presence. How's your grandfather?" Roderick sighed as he sat down across from Remus and threw his feet up on the table. His two bodyguards immediately took positions by the door and calmly watched over the conversation with observant eyes. It was clear that these bodyguards were also Duke Godricson's eyes and ears within the room. Boring. Same as usual. Meetings, talks, and other rubbish. I'd much rather ride through the streets of the city. Perhaps luck out and kill a thief or murderer or something more interesting." "Oh? Has the young master found a criminal to punish, then?" "No, unfortunately. I've seen no crime tonight. I broke a man's drums for disturbing the peace, though. You should have seen his face. I just don't get why the common folk would sit around and squalor in that filth every day." The High Lord Raven nodded his head as a bruised servant meekly brought them a flagon of wine. "They're born into it, I suppose. But perhaps that's why your grace has the station that he holds now, because he's above all the dirt of the commoners." Bam! The bruised servant nearly spilled the flagon as Roderick kicked the table with his feet. Roderick cackled at the servant's fearful reactions. Remus frowned and motioned for the servant to exit the room. "Leave us, and take my guards outside with you. I wish to speak to my good friend in private." The servant quickly left the room and shut the door behind her. Roderick took a sip of wine and shook his head as he began to eat. "So, what's all this I hear about House Raven being challenged, eh? What's going on with that?" As Roderick ate, he couldn't help but play with a series of expensive statues that lined the dining area of the room. Food grease coated the statue, and one of them almost fell over as Remus suppressed his irritation with the spoiled boy. "Good Master Roderick, your knowledge knows no bounds. Indeed, my house was challenged by the foolishly weak House Hayfield. However, I suspect that their brazenness is partly due to their close ties to High House Lightstone. Perhaps you've heard of this before?" Roderick looked up from one of the statues he held in his hand. He set it down, but not before wiping pheasant grease onto it. "Oh, really now? I haven't heard such a thing from anywhere in my grandfather's keep. But even so, what's the trouble? They can't really help the Hayfields during a challenge anyways." "So there are no ramblings of this in Duke Godricson's private quarters? No talk of him speaking the words of Hayfield in the same breath as the Lightstones?" "No, not at all. I doubt the Duke is concerned with any of this at all, really." Remus let out a sigh of relief. Ever since Lord Byron had left for his lands to find a new bride and sire more offspring, Remus had felt alone in his struggle against the Hayfields. The fact that House Lightstone was not a true backer of his enemies was a comforting thought. Now that there was no obvious alliance between the Hayfields and the Lightstones, Remus sought to make such a thing impossible. "That's good to know. I would have thought that the Duke would be extremely concerned with the Lightstones at the moment, considering what's been going on." Roderick frowned as he stopped mid-bite, set down a turkey leg. "What do you mean? What's been going on?" "Oh, nothing, young master. I simply thought that House Godrickson would already know of the current situation regarding Sir Ian Lightstone and Lady Amelia Hayfield." Roderick set down the turkey leg as his face grew red. "What? Sir Ian and Ulrich Hayfield's daughter? Speak more of this at once." "I've only heard rumors, but it seems they've been seen sneaking off together. Mostly it appears that they walk the gardens together at night, whispering sweet nothings in each other's ears, I imagine." Crack! Roderick threw a statue bust onto the ground with fury. Immediately, shards exploded out in 100 different directions.
Blasphemous! I don't believe it.
Roderick snarled at the thought of all this. Normally, he wouldn't think twice about a noble house as insignificant as the Hayfields. But if Ulrich Hayfield's daughter sought to court Sir Ian, that was a piece of gossip that Roderick couldn't ignore. "I'm sorry, young master, but those are in fact things that I have heard. They've even been seen together holding hands in the Central Market, and some have dared to claim to have even heard them spill their feelings towards each other in public. But I digress. This is all shameless hearsay, after all." The corner of High Lord Raven's mouth began to form a smile. Roderick was reacting just as he had wished him to. For although Roderick came from the Duke's own family, and was thus a nobler blood than Remus, he was still a brash young man that could be easily manipulated.
It may be hearsay, but if you've heard all this, there must be a grain of truth to it. Sir Ian Lightstone, huh? What a pervert. To think my aunt's fiancé would stab her in the back like that, after all the favor that the Duke has given House Lightstone, all just so he could run around on her with some floozy from a fallen house.
It is an unfortunate reality, Your Grace. Some men, it seems, cannot think with their brains as well as they ought to.
I mean, what lunacy is this? Not even the Princess of Calandria herself could compete with my aunt's looks, and Sir Ian dares to publicly tarnish her reputation? I'd rather die than let that stand.
Remus smiled as he spoke hollow words to fan the flames in Roderick's heart. "Oh, I'm sure Sir Ian meant no disrespect to Your Grace."
No disrespect? Does he really take me for a fool? You know, I meant to teach that bastard a lesson about respect a long time ago. But back then my aunt stayed my sword because of her sweet feelings towards him. Perhaps I'll get a chance to duel him yet.
Roderick stood and paced around the room in troubled thought, occasionally sipping from the flagon of wine. The High Lord Raven turned in his chair to face the amped-up teenager. "Even so, Your Grace, it might be wise to wait until you know the truth behind these allegations. Perhaps you might consider confronting him yourself in public?" Roderick stopped pacing and smiled sinisterly.
Remus, you're a genius. The High Lord Lightstone's ceremony for his daughter Donna is tonight. I can go at once and demand he tell me his intentions with this Hayfield girl, and what the truth of all this is. And if he dares to disappoint my aunt, I'll be sure to bring the full wrath of House Godrickson down upon them all. Crack!
Roderick punched another statue, shattering it to pieces as Remus simply smiled. "An excellent idea, Your Grace. I bid you good luck with your interrogation."
Wait, that's not the end. You've just had a free taste. Now get the full story on the Pocket FM app, link in description. Check out our next video and playlist, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.